Mine's good.
Oh, we could be live.
See, Nick knows my struggle. He's he's tried to record with me before.
Hmm.
I get the whole video and I'm like, what the hell?
Yeah.
Mine's good.
Oh, we could be live. Yep. There we go. They can hear us, but they can't see us yet. Mike's in the shower. All right. Let's go.
All right.
There we are.
They can see my face.
Yep.
They can see me right now.
Yep.
All right. What's going on, everyone? Weekend Wisdom, episode 23. This is my favorite number. And who better to bring on than one of my other favorite Texans, Mr. Thick Nick Garrity. So we're gonna start off with our buffets like we always do, and after we start off with our buffets, then we're gonna talk a little bit about advocacy. But before we get into that, and I always do it during the middle of the show, usually whenever I see Clown pop in, but I want to go ahead and give a huge shout out to our sponsor of this show, Clown Vapes. He was nice enough to give us a sponsorship for it, and you can use code Wisdom, which will be also in the description of all the weekend wisdoms, and I believe on the weekday wisdoms. It'll
Mm-hmm.
be code Wisdom for 10% off of any Clown coils or any of Mr. J Vape Supplies liquids. So go ahead and go pick you up some Mint Me. Go ahead, go pick you up some Rectum Balls because those are my two favorites of his. And I have some more coming my way, and I'm ready to try them because all of his juices are really good. And his coils, they hit. That's all I have to say. So, Mr. Thick Nick, go ahead and show us what you're vaping on.
Man, I'm keeping it real simple because I've been
And show us what you're drinking on.
yeah, there we go. So I'm rocking the Caliburn with the 60 milligram Cubano, just my daily banger between this and the Nord. I'm always swapping between those two. And then today I'm drinking a Pear Guava Bang. So yeah, kind of matchy, kind of not. I wish I could find my. I have another Caliburn that's pink and purple, which would have looked a lot better with that.
That's not too bad.
But yeah, it looks good.
The flavor in it though is not going to match at all. Some butterscotch, but the bottle matches.
The Cubano, which is a vanilla custard tobacco, and pear guava and purple don't go together very well. But the immense amount of caffeine and nicotine helps me live. So
Caffeine and nicotine, man.
There you go.
that's all I've got today.
And I noticed that, and I know you've talked about it before, but you are a big pod user, and that's something. I mean, he's a hobbyist, but we still see people using pods, and whatever gets you by and whatever helps you stay off of cigarettes, hey, as long as it works.
Yeah, I mean, I probably have easily like $5,000 to $10,000 of product sitting to the right, to my right, and I still will grab it.
Yeah.
It's just
He's got monarchs, and he's over there vaping on a pod.
But it's a Caliburn though. It's a quality pod.
Yeah. It's no smock pod, you guys.
Yeah.
No smock pod.
$20 to $30 pod
Yeah.
that I grab today.
But it's still one of the best flavored pods I've had so far.
Mm-hmm.
The one thing that I love about this is you can get a pod that is Sevo and just fill it with regular liquid, and you still get a shitload of flavor out
Yeah.
of it. Like this is a very that and the Nord, because you can get a 0.6, fill it up with a 3 or even a 6 milligram, and rock the shit out of it. It is just so good. The flavor for these pods are phenomenal. Yes, I have 3. I use 1 for Sevo, the other 2 for Salt Nick, and then I just rotate through them.
Yeah.
Because when I'm driving, I can't be hitting a mech with the windows up and it's hot, so I've got the AC going. I can't fog out my car when I'm driving. I'll crash.
Yeah. Yeah, definitely don't do that, and don't drip and drive.
Don't look at me then.
Yeah.
I have it down to a science. So like number one, if Angela's in the car with me, I can just hand her my mod, and
Yes.
she'll do it for me.
Mm-hmm.
But I can drive, and I leave the lid off my liquid because I sit it in my cup holder, so I can sit holding the steering wheel, staring while I'm driving, and get it right down the middle of the RDA, and be able to vape. I've been doing it for so long.
Well, all
All
right.
right, what you vaping on?
All right. Glad to be here. Thank y'all for tuning in. See a bunch of people out in the chat. Thank y'all again. Uh, got my dead goat on the Mr. Just Right in there. Yeah, it's this one. The Sad Boy Shamrock Cookie. I swapped these up this week, so I'm really mixed up. And Dreamer with the Axial. Got that DHD Ghost Chop Top on there. Little matchy match game. And got the Paradigm Wicked Berry. That stuff is super good. Let's see. Yeah, this one also has Wicked Berry in it too. That's the Juggernaut Mini on the Aegis. And then
Juggernaut, is that by the QP people?
yeah, that's the single coil.
Okay, I used the dual coil one of Stan's
Yeah.
on top of his Hexome at Houston, and oh my god,
Yeah.
it was good.
The flavor
I
on
have the LNEV too.
yeah, the flavor on that little single coil is just as good as any dual coil RTA I've had.
Mm-hmm.
So, and I got my MTL Amit on the Armor Pro in there. I've got the Paradigm. Well, this is Crucible Survivor. It's a butterscotch ice cream.
Mm.
And then I have my Nord with the Bubs IVC in there, and my Caliburn with the Solus Mint. The only Nick Salt I can't get rid of. And that's all I've got. I've replaced all my Nick Salts except that one, because that one I just can't find one that tastes like it. And that's my
Actually, before I go, I got a question for Zig Nick. Have you ever tried freebase high milligram inside of a pod? Like, or is it just something you just don't like?
Oh no, I love nicotine.
Uh,
I have a bottle of oh shit.
But I know Nick salts are just easier to get too.
Well, I use I have a K Fun that I'll run a 12 milligram like Long Castle, I think, from Five Ponds,
Mm-hmm.
and it's like tobacco, chocolate, like it. I mean, the juice is just about black. I mean, it is every bit of a coil killer, and it's a 12 milligram. I like high nicotine in pods. It's just um, for the Nord and for the Caliburn. I try to go as close to a 50-50 because I chain vape, so I don't want to get a tri coil.
Yeah.
So it's just what I just put in it. I mean, if I get a liquid that's like a 60-40 and a 3 milligram, or even some 70-30s, if it's a little too harsh for me, I'll just put it in a pod system or put it in a mouth to lung and vape like that. Like for me, the OPMH Mountain Dew flavors, the citrus comes off a little too harsh for me, and I'll cough if I try to drip it. So I put it in a mouth to lung or a pod, and I just get a shitload of flavor, and it's a 3 milligram. So
yeah, I feel like that's my problem too. Is maybe I need to try that. But I do get a lot of citrus flavors. I like citrus flavors, but there's a couple of them where I've gotten here recently where they've been a little too harsh.
Yeah, that's the reason I run that Bubs in Nord. It's only 3 milligram, but it's the watermelon just has a little bit of kick to the throat for me, and so in that Nord it's perfect.
See, and I've had, like, I'm really Noms too is, oh my god. So you can get that over at knowndistro.com. Use code That's What She Said for 25% off your purchase. And they're all fruit. So it's like jackfruit and tangerine and something else. Like I've got the whole line sitting over here, and they just released a cherry lime ginger.
Oh, that one's gonna be good, but I feel like it's gonna be throaty.
Yeah, like it, I mean, it might be because the other three are not. They have a white peach raspberry, which I'm like, okay, this is gonna be harsh, not even remotely. So, and I'm super into fruit flavors now. I used to only be savory,
Mm.
and I can't vape them without feeling gaggy. So
Hmm.
I'm like, I've just been vaping fruit, and I love it.
Hmm. So that's probably why you use the savory tobacco ones because it kind of mutes out all the savory, more tobacco-y.
Yeah, like I like the Cubano comes over as a like a tobacco with just like a vanilla aftertaste
Yeah, yeah.
custard. So
Yeah, I need to try some of that. I've never tried it, but I've always wanted to because I like a good vanilla custard with a little bit of tobacco and like what is it? Royalty 2 from um Vapetasia. I like theirs, but the last bottle I got was just I don't know what it was. I even emailed them say, "Hey, y'all might have a bad batch because this is just not what it's supposed to be."
yeah, that I could never do royalty too, but Vigo's Cubano, it's a great salt nick. I've tried just a regular like 3 milligram, and it's not the same.
Mm-hmm.
So and it all started. I just ECC like 2 years ago, I think. VGod was there, of course, and they were like either giving away stigs or had packs of stigs for $1. So I bought one of each to give them a try, and I'm like, oh, this is perfect for
Mm-hmm.
traveling. The only thing I don't like, and even with the disposable tanks, is I'm a super green kind of guy,
Yeah.
and so everything I do, like it's okay, recycle or compost. So with these, I'm like, man, I'm just throwing this entire thing away. There's actually a company in New Jersey who will mail you a box that you can put this kind of stuff in and send it back to them, and they can recycle it. So I mean, it's a few more extra steps, but for me, like making sure I'm not, increasing my footprint is important.
Would
So,
you have that link off the top of your head that you could throw in the chat? That'd be
not
something
off the top
cool.
of my head, but I can definitely
Or
get
if
it
you
for you.
can't, if
Hold
you
on.
can't get it right now, just send it to me later, and I'll put it in my description and stuff because that's something that's really cool. And I know that was something that they were complaining about on the vape industry, and that'd be something cool to throw into the descriptions for people because I mean that is kind of bad throwing away a battery and liquid and plastic all into your trash. It's going to go straight to the landfill. But yeah. So me, I got the Turk V2 with the Stay Gold chop top on top. I think it's a Stay Gold, but matchy matchy with the NATO. And then I got some of the Tango Melon in there. Got a little gold on the bottle. That's super matchy matchy. Watch out, James. I'm coming for you. And then I got this right here. I got the Mike Vapes Rebirth RDA with some random tip and my Saint mod from Times Vape that I patinaed, and I got some mango twist in there. It's not too bad. A buddy gave it to me because he didn't like it. And then I got the Prohibition syntax inside of the Turk V2 on top of the Red Dreamer with the Inferno chop top from DHD. My first time getting DHD drip tips, and I don't see why I waited so long because now I'm about to order some more. I got
Yes.
some of this watermelon charged from Firefly. I haven't vaped this in a while. I just saw it sitting back there. I was like, man, that's a good summertime vape. I gotta try it. So I set up the gear on top of the Warrior, and I'm really actually liking it. It's pretty good.
That looks almost verbatim um, as the Dreamer.
Oh yeah, gives a little thing and everything. Yeah, but their cutouts a little bit different. And Stan actually gave this to me, but dude, I like this little
It
thing.
looks good.
I was running the Shogun on it, and I really like this for single coils because it's only an 18650 mech mod, and this is a really nice mod. It's small, compact, and everything. Next, of course, I got my purge stack with the Apocalypse. I can't put this thing down. I don't know why, but I've been loving stacks here recently. Inside that, I got some drip wicks, and I put this in a regular low ohm mechanical mod, and it was all right. but inside of a stack is where I keep it, and that's where it lives because it's amazing. And then I got my orchid pod, and I got some syntax mixed with some peanut butter cookie custard from my local vape shop to kind of bring the milligrams down on the nicotine. But yes, so that's all I'm vaping on. I mean, that's a lot I'm vaping on. And then I got a Froze Rose.
Yes.
Uh, might have to talk to my fiance about being sponsored by Bang, me and Thick Nick. But yeah,
I run on that shit.
caffeine and nicotine, man.
Yes, sir.
And you know what? Everything about all this is flavors. And you know what? We all have flavors right here. And I don't think I would just drink this if it was a carbonated water with energy because that kind of tastes like beer. And you know what? It's flavors. And with vaping, I mean, I've tried juices without flavor and it's not as great. So flavors usually help me with a whole lot of stuff. So we should always keep flavors around if anyone from the FDA or anything like that is listening.
Yeah. Or watching the replay to see what we're doing.
Yeah.
Is going, man, guys, look, I appreciate all the input, but we got to make sure that these people don't actually try to storm Area 51 right now.
Yeah.
That's why we got 10 months. It's so they can focus on Area 51 and then get back to vaping.
Mm-hmm. All right, so we're going to talk a little bit about PMTAs today, and we have some more stuff on Atlanta, Ohio, and Oregon. So we've got a couple topics today, so we're going to jump into them. Actually, first one I want to talk about was the Atlanta one, and I'll drop the link in the chat. Shane brought this one up to me, and this is a really interesting one. It's pretty much like telling you where you can and where you cannot vape, and it's pretty much like, hey, you can't do it within 50 feet of any public place. So right outside your house, you're not supposed to, but you can do it inside your house. And there's only two places where you can really do it, which is absolutely crazy, where they're pretty much telling you can and cannot do stuff. So it seems like we're getting all of our rights taken away from us is what I take away from this. And I mean, that's where a lot of this stuff comes from, all this vaping laws and everything. It seems like we're getting our freedoms taken away in a free country where that's something that we pride from is being free, being able to do as we please, as long as you stay within the laws and you're not doing stupid stuff. But it seems like a lot of this stuff right here is just taking away from our freedom. And I'm pretty sure both of y'all can agree on that.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I mean, to a certain extent, with I'll let you, kind of further explain what they're doing before I give because my stance on it won't make sense until people actually know the extent of what it is they're doing. So
yeah, so it says the ordinance prohibits vaping within 50 feet of any public area, including restaurants, bars, workplaces, outdoor seating spaces, parks, and more. So those are ones we've seen. And I mean, like, it's like if you're walking down the sidewalk, you're pretty much not allowed to vape because you're going to be within 50 feet of any place. So the thing I'm trying to think of on this is, where do they want us to vape? Are we going to have to stand in the middle of the street and get a jaywalking ticket to be able to vape? And it's just like it's kind of crazy where it's pretty much you can vape in your car or you can vape in your house, and that's pretty much it. And I know, okay, yeah, I mean, there's a lot of people out there who can go a good, like even me, I know y'all can too. I'm pretty sure there's a time where you're just sitting there doing something else and you're not even thinking, oh, hey, I need a vape. You're, oh yeah, hey, look, there's a vape. I forgot I vape. I do that all the time. There's times where I'll sit there, I won't vape for hours and I'll be like, oh shit, look, there's my mod. Let me pick that up. But I mean, it's kind of weird that if you're out walking around or you're out doing something, you're not allowed to vape as you're walking down a sidewalk. And they didn't really include that in there, but that's what I'm taking from it because you're going to be within 50 feet of anything.
They did later on. Down in the article, they did say that.
Oh, okay, well, there we go.
You can be walking down the street downtown Chamblee and be in violation at any point.
Mm-hmm.
So is this exclusive to vaping or does this include smoking as well?
Smoking and vaping.
Yeah.
So,
Smoking and
but
vaping.
is smoking named first and then vaping is just included?
Yes.
Okay, so the issue is that, and I'm just going to go ahead and say it. Southern states have higher concentrations of smokers. I don't know
Mm-hmm.
why, they just do. And a lot of the cities are trying to make the cities places that you want to live in. If you go to like downtown Grapevine, and Jay will understand where I'm coming from, it's
Mm-hmm.
cute little antique stores. There's nobody smoking. There's no vape shops either.
Mm-hmm.
I don't think there's a smoking ordinance. I mean, other than like, hey, you can't smoke within 25 feet of a door, which makes sense.
Yeah.
Uh, the 50 feet thing seems just a little excessive because, again, people smoke, people vape, people don't do either. But the effects of smelling a cigarette while you're trying to sit down and eat
Mm-hmm.
dinner is gross. Like that's like I don't go to bars because I don't like cigarette smoke, and that's just me. Um, I don't condemn people that smoke because we all, or at least most of us, all decided at one point in time, hey, we're going to smoke, and that's how we ended up becoming like professional vapors, if you will. Um, but I mean, like I understand some of the reason why they're trying to do this, like the no smoking within X amount of feet, and they're just including vaping in it. It's unfortunate, but it makes sense. If you can't do one, you can't do either. You can smoke in your home. You can't smoke in a townhome or a condo or a apartment.
Mm-hmm.
And the smoking in those makes sense because you don't actually own those, you're renting them. And I
Mm-hmm.
was explaining to Shane right before the stream that makes sense because when you move out, that the property owner is now going to have to figure out how they can lease this building or this apartment again with it smelling like cigarettes. The vaping thing, and I hate to even say this, but who's going to know if you're vaping in a condo? Who's going to know if you're vaping in your apartment? Like, yeah, I mean, other than like maybe maintenance walking in to fix your garbage disposal and they see your mech mod sitting on the counter, but even then, I'm sure they're not going to, try to pull a police investigation and determine whether or not it's been used lately. Like it's, it's disheartening because I don't like to see rights taken away from anybody, including smokers. But at the same time, smoking is it's it's gross. Like it smells bad. It
Mm-hmm.
leaves trash. I mean, if the city's trying to make an effort to clean itself up, and I don't know, I don't even know where the hell this is. I know it's in Georgia. I've been to Atlanta once,
It's a
and that was
suburb of Atlanta.
okay. So yeah, I mean, Atlanta is not a horrible place, but it could definitely use some fixing up. And one of the ways you can do that is eliminating the smoking and the vaping because with that it comes trash. I can't tell you how many times, even outside of my local brick and mortar, there's coils, pods, glass, even
Mm-hmm.
like tanks that have been run over. And then on the end of that same shopping center is a bar where you can smoke inside and out of it, and there's just packs and butts and everything on the ground. And I'm like, at what point did we not explain that you don't mess with Texas? Like that's a $500 fine.
Mm-hmm.
Like, and I don't understand why people can't care enough about where they live or where they're just at in that situation to walk a few feet to an ashtray or walk a few feet to a trash can and dispose of whatever it is respectably. And then that's when you get, regulation from like a city saying, hey, you guys can't, you know, you, it's like having kids, right? You can't, if you're not going to play with your toys nicely, then I'm going to take your toys away.
Mm-hmm.
And that's unfortunately, we live in a day and age of government where if we can't do something on our own respectably, they'll just take it away from us.
Mm-hmm.
Yep. And one thing to also add, and I know this isn't a show about smoking cigarettes, but most times when you see an ashtray, what's underneath of it? A trash can. The ashtray is for you to be able to put your cigarette out and throw it away, not to just throw in there and walk away.
Right. I can't tell you how many times, either just working in public, that I've had a customer come in and say, "Hey, your trash can's on fire."
Mm-hmm.
And I'll look outside, and sure enough, somebody just put a cigarette in there and it just dropped it, not even stick it in the sand or the dirt or whatever. They just drop it off in there and then come in, and then the ash rolls over and gets in the trash can, and it's full of paper and styrofoam and plastic. So I'm like, great.
Yep, that's like at our work. We have those tubes where you put it out and then you put it in there. Half the time people don't put it out before they put it in there because there's no sand on it or anything. It's just a long tube. They just throw it in there,
Yeah.
and then I'll be sitting in my office. I just start smelling smoke. I'm like, oh, let me go grab a bottle of water real quick and go put this out.
Yeah.
And
That happens at
the
my
thing
work
is,
too.
I'm the one who does it.
And it's always the people that are trying to be respectful and responsible for these things. They're the ones having to clean up the mess. And then we're also the same ones that are the ones advocating for, and I don't want to say that I just believe in vaping rights, but I believe in the rights of humans in general, and being able to have that decision to smoke if you are of a legal age. I believe you have that right, but in that you also need to take care of your shit. So
Mm-hmm.
don't be flicking cigarette butts out of the car. It's when I was a smoker, I always had a can in my car that was filled
Mm-hmm.
up about halfway with water. So when I got done smoking, I could put the cigarette butt out, and then I would throw it away.
Mm-hmm.
It's not hard, but when you continuously don't follow the rules, then you have shit like this that happens, and it's unfortunate because now you've got a bunch of people who are going to be resentful, and smokers are going to blame vapors for this because it just seems like the easy scapegoat in this situation. um the only thing that's wrong with smoking is that it's dangerous, right? I'm not going to condemn anybody because they do that, but be smart about how you dispose of your stuff, and we won't see things like this.
Yep.
Right. A lot of it
Yeah.
just comes down to personal responsibility. I'm treating this the same way that I treat the buggy that I get from when I go to the grocery store. There's not a time when I take it and pull it up beside my car and get in my car and leave when it's empty. You
I
take it
hate
you take it back to they have these little things set up specifically for these. And I'm sorry if anybody in here is from the north. Well, I know it's not a buggy, it's a cart. It's a buggy to me. It's always going to be a buggy.
that.
So you take it to the little, I guess it's kind of like a little corral. That's where the buggies go. It doesn't go beside somebody else's car or in the empty parking spot beside you. The same way with your cigarette butts, your jewel pods. If you break your tank and going to throw it away, throw it away. Don't just leave it there. Uh, you know,
Yeah.
it drives me crazy. Same thing leaving a sports game, football, baseball, basketball. They have to have people come in and clean the bleachers where you sit afterwards because people just leave their crap there. It's personal responsibility. Take care of your stuff. Would you want somebody to come into your house for dinner or whatever? They get done and they take their stuff and they just set it on the ground and get up and say thanks and leave. Would you want that? No, I wouldn't. So I'm going to treat it the same way.
Mm-hmm.
I just,
And it also says fines will be up to $50 for first time offenders and 75 for second time. So be on the if you are in that area, be on the lookout. And it pretty much says that you can be in the city or you could be within the downtown of any city around or in that downtown area and you're in violation if you are smoking or vaping at any time pretty much because like I said, you can't. I mean, like unless you're in the middle of the road, you're not going to be without the 50 feet. So make sure that we are taking care of our stuff. And if you're not in that area, make sure you do stuff to where you can make sure that it's not going to happen to your area. maybe bring it up to people, talk to people about responsibility. Like at our work, we've had stuff like this where days where we are down and we don't have stuff to do or we don't have stuff to run, instead of cleaning inside the plant before we got these little smoking stations, we used to have to go out there and we would have to pick up cigarette butts. And the thing is as a vapor, I would have to do that too because I was a part of the problem, so to say, is what they would call it. And they would say, "Well, pretty much you are part of the problem because you smoke." I said, "No, I don't. I don't smoke. I will go help because I want the environment to be clean. I mean, cigarette butts are not biodegradable. It's paper and I don't know whatever the filter is. But I mean, it's not biodegradable. Those take forever to break down.
Mm-hmm.
And the thing is I used to have to go out there and pick up cigarette butts whenever we didn't have nothing to do. And it's kind of dumb because people can just throw them in the trash and we could just take out the trash bag. And
Right.
it's just dumb that we're having to go through stuff like this because it's happening, or it's these laws going against adults because we're not being adults.
Right.
I'm not pointing fingers at anyone in chat or anything like that, but it's just people aren't being adults. That is why they're having to put rules like this into effect. So if you don't want to see stuff like this, call people out on it. That's one thing that our work always says. And I know I relate a lot of crap to work. I don't know why. Hate
Yeah.
my work. But
I know.
I
It's
always, I always relate a lot of stuff to work, but it's like you see something doing wrong. Like if you see someone getting up into a machine and they don't have it locked out and the power off or anything like that,
mm-hmm.
are you just going to let them do it or are you going to say something to them? No, you say something to them because it's going to affect you later on or it could possibly kill them.
Yep.
I mean, stuff like that. You always, if you even if it's just someone in public, you see them and they're walking by, they don't even put their cigarette butt out, they just throw it in the trash. Call them out on it. Hey man, you know they can catch fire and that could burn this whole building down. Just call people out on stuff. I'm not saying do it rudely, like hey you asshole, what are you doing?
Yeah.
Just go up to them, hey man, could you just put your cigarette butt out? Because you could cause this to have a fire and it could burn something down, and if we're in there, you might lose your kid because of this. You could burn a whole building down with you and your kid in there. Something you could bring up. So I mean, just make sure we're all kind of being adults and we're doing the right things. Because if we're being adults, then stuff like this won't happen. Littering and stuff like that, we wouldn't have to worry about dumb laws like this coming into effect if we were doing the right thing in the first place.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, we actually, at where I work, we actually threatened, suspended, threatening, we threatened to suspend smoking privileges for the warehouse people at one point because they have their own entrance. And as they walk from their car to the entrance where they go in, they pass a dumpster and two garbage cans. And there's still cigarette butts on the ground outside. And it's like,
Yep.
your car is on the other side of the dumpster. And there's two garbage cans between the dumpster and the door. And you still throw it on the ground? It doesn't make any sense.
We've done the same thing too. We told them it is not or we told them it is a privilege for you to be able to work at smoke at work on your break. It's not a right or anything like that because you're getting paid to work. And yeah, I understand that you're getting paid to work, but it's also a right. It's not, hey, yeah, I mean, it's a law. Everyone can smoke while they're at work. No, it's a right. The company has ways of doing that. And that's one thing we've had to do too, is we've had to tell everyone, hey, if the cigarette butts don't start making it to the trash and they keep going on the ground outside in the dirt, and we have to keep picking them up and shutting down the plant to clean stuff up like that, especially when a customer's coming, we're just going to take away smoking rights from everyone. And we're eventually about to do that next year, but it's not because of that, it's because of other stuff. But I mean, it's stuff like that you have to look at, is rights like this will get taken away from you if you keep doing stuff like that. And it kind of sucks for vapors because, yeah, like Nick said, vapors are the easy one to point at because we're the newer ones. We're the new kids on the block, all that. And it's easier to blame someone for blowing a big cloud. Oh, this guy's walking around with a stack mech mod. He's blowing big clouds. What an asshole. Yeah, it's easy to do that. But it's also, I'm not going to throw anything from this. I think it's like $400 altogether. I'm not going to throw any of this on the ground. If I do, someone better pick it up and do something with it. Because, I mean, even if you're using a pod system, at work, we only have a couple people who vape, and we had a guy who was the boss's son, and he used to always vape, but he always used pods at work. You look in the back of his truck, in the bed, nothing but trash and pods. You look around where he used to park, pods all over the ground. I'm like, dude, come on. It's not that hard. Throw it in the bed of your truck if you want.
Mm-hmm.
Don't throw it on the ground. It's not that hard.
Yep.
You know, you touched on it briefly, and I think the big reason why we get targeted whenever there's smoking regulation that comes out is because the perception is that we are anti-smoking, and I'm sure there are some people who are anti-smoking, but I see myself as more of a
Human rights.
yeah, and more of like a health like this is more about a health thing than a rights thing for me. I mean, I've converted countless smokers, and it's always been the same thing. It's not that I don't want you to smoke. I truly don't care if you smoke. That's your personal decision. But for me, it's about making sure that you are aware of a less harmful alternative. If you've tried other NRTs, then and you haven't really given a thought or a chance to vaping in the modern world. I mean, because I've heard the same thing multiple times. Well, I tried vaping and it's always like an ego and a clearomizer. And I'm like, no. I'm like, dude, get a Juul, get a Nord, get a Caliburn, get something like that and try that. That is going to work. I don't know how people ever were able to quit before like 2010. Like that blows my mind.
Yeah, because silica wicks were trash, and that's what I quit on.
Man, okay, real fast, we'll go on to the next subject. First time I ever gave vaping a shot, okay? They tried putting me on a mech mod, and it was just not working, okay? They swapped it out for another mech mod, but it had a MOSFET on it, so I could use a tank with no issues, and it had a 510 on it instead of a hybrid. So they gave me a little silica wick tank that was a little bit bigger. I can't remember.
The VV Nova?
Maybe, but I didn't know that you had to change coils out or change the wicks out. So I just filled it up with a bourbon vanilla waffle. The juice was like tar, and I would just fill it up and I would vape all day. So I did this for like 3 or 4 months on the same coil.
Ooh, shit.
Wow.
So I go to another vape shop that was having like a grand opening thing, and I'm like, yeah, my tank's tasting a little weird, so I think I need to change my liquid. They're like, well, let me take a look at it real fast. They open it up, and the coil, there was no wick at all. The coil had collapsed on the other coil and on part of the deck, so it was still making a connection. So the liquid would fill that up, and it would heat it, but I was just vaping plastic and some liquid and metal.
Wow.
And they're like, how long have you been doing this? And I'm like, I don't know, since I got it, like back in like 3-4 months ago. Why? And then they showed me, I'm like, this is horrible. This is not a good idea. So shortly after that, I quit and then went back to smoking. But then I got on a regular sub-ohm tank and internal battery. It was like an iTaste 2 or something. And it was perfect.
That's crazy because, man, I couldn't even see myself vaping on any kind of coil and the same wick, even on a rebuildable with a clean liquid for 4 months.
I mean, I've had the same builds in most of my mods. If they have clustered coils, it's the same build that's been in there for at least a year now.
Oh yeah,
I've changed the cotton.
Yep.
Yeah.
Clean the coils and change the cotton.
Yes, sir. But I mean, that just goes to show to the testament of coilter.com.
All right, so the next one, I'm dropping the link in the chat right now. This one is a little bit different. Oregon voters to decide fate of proposed tax increase. And this is by the lovely Angela Garrity on Vapin Magazine. So make sure you check out all of her articles because that's where we get a lot of our information. Because she does some really good articles, and whenever you get to those articles at the bottom, there's always an article where you can click on to get the full details. But she likes to summarize them, and I like that because I don't want to have to read 10 pages of something. I want to be able to read a couple paragraphs and get all my information. But it shows that Oregon voters to decide fate for sales tax increase in 2020, and it is House Bill 2270. If approved, will increase the tax on cigarettes from $1.33 per pack to $3.33 per pack. So a $2 increase, and that will be a 65% sales tax price. And for cigars, it will be from 50 cents to $1. This is something that's crazy. And 1 second. So, and this is something that's crazy is because it doesn't say anything in here about vaping. It is all tobacco. And this is something that we see happening in the UK and in New Zealand, where they're doing crazy sales taxes on cigarettes. We're up in, I don't know about the UK how much theirs are, but I know that they're going up. I've read in New Zealand that packs of cigarettes for the low end is over $20, and by next year they will be about $25. So this is something I like to see trending, and this is in Oregon, and maybe later on down the road we'll see it in more places. But with the US and the tobacco and all that, I'm not too sure. But something like this is awesome because this means that we're doing a step in the right direction. We are doing a step to where we are putting sales tax on cigarettes, but we all know that cigarettes and tobacco products are all in the same, I guess you could say, same cluster or whatever you want, same category as vaping. So there will probably be a sales tax also for vaping. I'm not too sure. It says vaping is included. Okay, so vaping is included in there. But the thing I like to see is that it is also going to be cigarettes. They're not trying to say, hey, well, we are going to put everything in the same category: vaping, smoking, cigars, everything's in the same category. But yet, what we're going to do is we're going to give a sales tax to vaping, but we're not going to do anything with cigarettes. That's something I hate seeing. This time, they are doing a sales tax across the board, and that's something I kind of like to see. I don't want to see a ridiculous sales tax on vaping, but I also would love to see sales tax on cigarettes so that way we can get rid of cigarettes and get people to say, you know what, cigarettes are going up. They're not $4 a pack no more. Or like my mom used to say, I used to be able to put gas in the car and buy a pack of cigarettes for 50 cents. Well, yeah, that times have changed. And the thing is maybe if cigarettes get up in price, maybe people might think, okay, well, let me go ahead and let me just try to pick up a little starter kit. Let me just try this. But yeah, 65% wholesale tax on vaping would be bad. But for cigarettes, it might do something a little different. But whenever the prices raise on both of them, you got to kind of weigh your odds and wonder if people will still be able to switch in Oregon.
So, with the deal with this is, first off, just so people understand, in New Zealand, their currency to the U.S. currency, their $1 is equivalent to about 70 cents for us. So a $20 pack of cigarettes is about $14 here. So just to put it in, U.S. terms. With cigarettes, the cigarettes already pay 2 or 3 taxes nationally before you even purchase them. So seeing another $2 hike is not unreasonable or even unexpected. We see this all the time. The issue is that we have a 65% wholesale tax on ENDS products, which is an electronic nicotine delivery system. So that pertains only to vaping. So a $2 hike versus 65% hike, if even just at 50%, a $10 starter kit wholesale is now going to be a $20 wholesale starter kit. So it's selling it for 20, the retailers are going to have to sell it for 40. So meaning even on a bottle of liquid, that it wholesales for $10. You're now looking at a $40 bottle of liquid on the low end. So you're looking at probably $55 for a 60 ml bottle of liquid, which in that point forces vaping out of the way as a viable option to quitting smoking. Furthermore, the issue that with the cigar taxes, and cigars somehow magically always to get not smoking regulation or not an ends product regulation, they only pertain to their own thing. 50 cents on cigars is fucking insanity. Even with HR 2058, the Cole Bishop Amendment that was promised to protect vaping, at the last moment they cut out vaping and it only protected cigars.
Mm-hmm.
So I don't know what's going on with the whole cigar thing, but even big tobacco is getting the short end of the stick when it comes to cigars and stuff like that. And that's the one thing that I'm like, cigars are truly a luxury item. You don't need to smoke cigars. Like, well, first off, I mean, you don't need to smoke or vape or anything. It's a choice. We do it because we want to, but cigars especially are a luxury item, and they're usually a big ticket item. And so that is one of the reasons why I feel that people are allowing passes on this, is because they have cigar lounges where people will sit and spend a couple $100 every day or a couple days a week, as opposed to caring about a healthier alternative to smoking. But this is bad. It's 65% wholesale tax, and Angela just said, that'll turn into 130% retail price, 130% increase in retail pricing. So anybody that, okay, so like the Caliburn, I paid $30 for it. So 100% increase would be $60, and then 30% of that would be another $9. So this would be a $70 device. That is going to be super hard to convince people that this is a cheaper alternative to smoking. Take the health benefits out. Saying this is $70 before you've bought a $45 to $50 bottle of e-liquid, and that's where you're going to get the problem.
Yeah, and the thing is oh, never mind. That, what was I? Oh, okay. Also with advertising, this isn't really related to it. Just popped up in my brain. I saw I heard an advertisement on the radio the other day for a cigar place online. And the thing I don't understand, I know this is way off topic, but it just popped in my brain. I want to say it before I forget it. Is there was a huge sale or something like that from the cigar shop online, and they were pretty much saying if you bought, I think it was $50 worth, we would send you 8 cigars for free, which would make it like $50 worth of product for free, or $30, something like that. And the thing is a question for y'all and for chat is, why is it okay to do that? But then whenever you hear a Juul commercial about people just saying, hey, well, Juul has helped me switch to a healthier alternative and a healthier lifestyle, and those get bashed. I mean, I know why, but I'm just wondering, do y'all have an opinion on that?
Oh, I've got an opinion on everything. But Shane, I don't know if you want to, if you want to go first, or if you were doing something.
No, you go right ahead.
Okay, sorry. So Angela touched on it, and it's because representatives have buddies that are high-profile people like Arnold. You see, cigars are a status symbol. They always have been. Same thing as the difference of, I like Jameson whiskey that I just drink out of a cup or just out of the bottle if I feel like it, as opposed to people who own decanters and shit like that. It has to do with the high society. It has to do with what representatives want and how they don't want to be what's the word? they don't want to be disrupted in their lifestyle.
Mhm.
Screw the citizens. They don't want to be disrupted, even though the same people that are creating these things have millions of dollars and they could spend millions of dollars every day for the rest of their life and they would still die rich. They don't want to pay an extra 65% on cigars. They would rather pay their whatever the hell a cigar goes for. I don't know anything about them. I I don't care for them. And I also don't think that if you vape and you smoke cigars or you smoke a pipe or even if you use combustion in any way shape or form, I still think that you don't truly understand the purpose of what
Yeah.
vaping is. And it comes down to that combustion creates a carcinogenic effect, and that is one of the inherent dangers of smoking. And that's across the board. That's smoking meat, that's smoking material, that's smoking cigars, cigarettes, pipe tobacco, anything. You don't want to inhale anything that's burning. So that's what gets my goat about all this. And it's not even so much of, oh, I'm willing to pay taxes on vaping products because we are still untaxed. Cigarettes have to pay a import tax. They have to pay a packaging tax. They have to pay a state tax. They have to pay a local government tax. And all that money goes back to the states that get the MSA money, which I'm not going to blame them for taking the money. Anybody would. It goes back to like my whole Juul thing. If I was working for Juul and I woke up the next morning after Altria purchased 35% of Juul and I had over $1 million in my bank account because of the bonuses they gave their employees, I'd be like, hell yeah, I made the right decision.
Mhm.
Yeah.
I mean, first off, no other American company ever, even after the government buyouts and even after Trump allowed them to be able to have um, uh, all these tax rebates, no other American company reinvested it back into their employees except for Juul. So, I mean, let's be honest here. The people that are screaming the loudest "fuck Juul" are the ones that are pissed the most that they didn't get a $1.2 million bonus. Because I would cut off both my legs for that. I mean, let's be honest.
Yeah.
I would just buy new ones. Um, but
Hey,
They'd have,
Joe did it.
they'd have to give me
Joe,
Family Guy. He bought new legs.
oh, I was like, who the hell's Joe?
yeah,
I'll
they'd
be
have to
honest, I've only seen one or two episodes of Family Guy, so
Oh, yeah, I forgot you don't like Family
they'd have to
yeah.
give me 2 million because it's a million a leg. That yeah.
Guy. and and like I hate hearing. I know we got completely off topic, but I hate hearing people bash on Juul, and I know you hate it too, Nick, because you used Juul for a while, and
Yep.
you have told me you actually used to keep Juul starter kits in your truck, and you used to hand them out to people who were smoking. Say, hey, do you think you would use this? If you will use this, and you will stop smoking right now, I will give you this, and give me your number, and tell me how you feel in a couple of days.
Yeah, I would.
And that,
That yeah. After PAX was able to get a U.S. based manufacturer for their product, the price dropped tremendously to where the starter kits were like between $10 and $15, and you would get 4 pods, a charger, and the Jewel. So I bought a couple $100 worth and just loaded them up in my glove box. And if I would be walking around using my Jewel, somebody would ask me about it. I'd say, you know what, man, I'm gonna do something for you. I'm gonna grab a starter kit. It's sealed. Nobody's done anything to it. Give this a try, and in a few days, let me know how you feel. And if you want to keep using it, then I'll give you more information then. Because the worst thing you can do, and this goes across the board, this goes for car sales, this goes for trying to buy a computer, anything. Too much information too quickly, people
Mm-hmm.
can't retain it.
Yep.
So, and then it becomes intimidating. You give people the tools and they will build it themselves. And I will tell you 10 out of 10 times, the countless number of starter kits that I've handed out, every single person has quit smoking successfully. My mother quit smoking with a Jewel. Her partner quit smoking with a Jewel. Um, I mean, it's a viable option for vaping. I don't care that the fact that I can't recycle the pods, and every once in a while the batteries sometimes are unreliable. I noticed more of late they're not as reliable, but that's nitpicking at that point. But I don't blame or fault anybody for using a Juul or supporting Juul. The biggest people, because here's what it comes down to, man. Juul is spending just as much money fighting for this industry as anybody else, if not more. That, and if you're sitting there being like, man, fuck Juul. Juul's on the board of directors of the VTA, man. They give $700,000 a month, and I don't know if that's supposed to be public information or not, but you know now. And they single-handedly fought the Colorado bullshit on their own. They have no ties to Colorado other than the fact that people use their products there. So, I mean, Juul is in it for Juul, but that's, we live in capitalist America. That makes sense for a company to look out for itself.
Yeah.
The fact that they donate so much money to help fight for this cause, and even with their whole concept of creating a technology that scans an ID so that only their products can be sold to people that are 21 and up, and they can see where these products go. That technology can be used and applied towards the entirety of the vape industry. The fact of the matter is, we need regulation because we have too many people that make bathtub liquid, too many people that are making devices that are just not safe, and too many people using this as a cash grab as opposed to doing it because it's the right thing to do to help people. You can apply, see, and I will say something that'll get me blacklisted, but I agree with sensible
Yeah.
regulation.
Oh, yeah.
I think we do need to pay taxes. I think that because we have so many cities and states that are T21, we need a federal T21 so that way we stop increasing the numbers of minors vaping, or even just the amount of people getting issued tickets for minors vaping.
Yep.
We have a shit ton of people in the state that I live in right now that aren't even aware that T21 passed. Now, granted, these people are well over 21, so they don't care, but they didn't even know it was a thing. And that is what I find as an issue. And if we live, like Jay and I live in Texas, and let's say we're 19 years old, we can drive to Oklahoma and go get cigarettes and vape and whatever the hell we want, and come back, and we purchased it legally.
Mm-hmm.
But now we can't vape it or use it because of the state we live in. A federal T21 will eliminate that confusion across the board.
Right.
Having a sensible chill tax and a sensible retail tax makes sense and puts us in the same category as how tobacco companies get taxed. And it
Right.
makes sense. That money goes towards something other than just making rich people more rich. It goes to fixing the roads, it goes to the school systems. There's benefits to having tax money added on to the purchase that you're about to make. And I'm
Right.
sorry, but with everything coming from China, it's already dirt cheap anyway. Don't get mad that instead of $20 for a pod system, you're paying 35. Be
Mm-hmm.
happy that you know when you purchase this that your kid's school is going to get better books or computers,
Right.
or the road will get fixed. I mean, look at Louisiana. There's not a road in that state that is drivable without losing something on your undercarriage. And
Yeah.
I love Louisiana.
Mm-hmm.
The other thing is that a we do have an issue with youths vaping. We do. There's 95,000 kids that are vaping, not smoking, but just vaping. There is something about vaping that is attractive to them, and we can't convince them that it's not attractive.
Right.
But what we can do is make sure that our regulation can prevent them from getting a hold of it.
Mm-hmm.
And if using Jules technology of checking an ID when you come into the store, and if you're not 21, you have to leave. And when you make a purchase, we scan your ID so we know that this Caliburn goes to Joseph A. Smith. And so if Joseph A. Smith decides to give it to an 18-year-old at the high school, then whenever they get caught, we know and we can stop this.
Exactly.
Because, and I'm honest, we 95,000 kids in the grand scheme of things, we have like 7 billion people on this planet. But if you look at just the 95,000 kids is the population of the city I live in. So that would be as if every single person in my city smoked or vaped, or in this situation just vaped.
Mm-hmm.
So we have to do something. You know, I mean, we need to start allowing for sensible regulation and stop screaming like the children that we act like, and and actually fight for the longevity and the future of this industry, and not just for the right now. You
Right.
know,
Yeah.
A
And there's a
fair
bunch of people. Go ahead.
a fair tax is
Mhm.
very sensible. A 65% wholesale tax is not sensible at all.
oh
You know,
shit, no.
Wisconsin, they have what? I think it was 92% wholesale tax. That
Yeah.
is just insane. Uh,
New York tried to do the 95, I believe it was,
yeah,
right?
I think that was New York or Connecticut, one of the two. But you mentioned going across state lines. You know, Daily Vape TV, Nick, he's mentioned before that people will come into his shop in Massachusetts, but they'll be from Connecticut because they only have to be 18.
Mm-hmm.
So they'll just
See,
drive over there.
and that puts you in a moral dilemma of working at a store, and if I knew every state's regulation regarding, and here's the most messed up thing. San Antonio went T21 first in the state of Texas, and people would just leave the city limits, go to the first, gas station or vape shop that they saw, and start shopping there,
Mm-hmm.
and then come back because the police force had openly said, we are not going to enforce this. Okay, well, that's like saying, oh, okay, well, I'm not going to enforce people who California roll stop signs. No, it's the law. That is your job. That is what you get paid to do, is to uphold the law. What you need to think about before you pass a T21 is this really viable for the area in which we live in? And is this going to stop people from shopping somewhere else? Uh, I mean, it's a little ridiculous, I think, but because of how many places have passed a T21, the best thing we could do, because nobody's going to repeal anything at this point.
No.
The only thing we could do is pass a federal T21, so that way we're all on the same playing field. And
Yeah.
and I hate saying that because one of my best friends is 19 and works at a vape shop. So come September 1st, he's going to be unemployed.
Mm-hmm.
And that sucks. That's stupid. He's been a great employee. He's done nothing wrong,
Right.
but he has to lose his job because the state decided that this is what's best for us.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah, and like you said, we're like that's one thing. I'm super cheap. I look for the cheapest websites to buy my product, best deals, but that's just me. But I am all for a reasonable tax. It doesn't matter if it's wholesale, whatever tax. I'm all for that. I'm all for a reasonable tax. But whenever they throw out like a 65, 95, 90%,
Right.
Mm-hmm.
that's just doubling up on how much, double to triple how much you're going to have to pay, because the shop still has to make money. Plus, they have to pay the tax to be able to get it. And that's something that I'm all for, is there being a reasonable tax, but nothing like too huge. And it's a healthier alternative, of course, but it's something that no matter what the tax is, I'll still pay for. But I'm all for reasonable tax because everything gets taxed, and like you said, it goes towards good things like the roads and all that, and the health systems. It goes towards the educational systems and stuff like that.
Mm-hmm.
But whenever they want to throw in a sales tax and they want to throw in what they're using it for, and it's a BS tax or it's a BS reason for why they're throwing it in there, that's something that gets me and it kind of makes me angry. But yeah, I'm all for taxes and stuff like that. But whenever they're throwing something out that's outrageous, to where it's like, hey, you're pretty much going to kill the industry,
Yeah.
but we're going to still be allowed to sell cigarettes and stuff like that. Because, I mean, even if it is a huge sales tax and the tobacco companies take a hit, look how much money they have. They have
Mm-hmm.
enough money to be able to survive off that. Like you said, there's people who could spend millions of dollars a day and still die rich and still have enough for their whole family to live and never have to work again. But
See,
then like the small companies for vaping who are just trying to make a living and trying to make a good product to keep people safer and healthier, that's where it's going to hurt them.
there are a lot of companies, and I mean, like Tenacious TX Vapes, right? Stan's one of my closest friends. I love him to death. And
Mm-hmm.
he's just a one man operation, right? Well, one man and a Christie.
Yeah.
But because if I don't give her credit, I'll hear a knock at my door. And as soon as I look,
Hey, she was working pretty hard whenever we went over to his house.
I
I
she
think
does. I
I
mean,
think he's just the
let's be
face.
honest.
He's just the face of the
Yeah.
company. She
There
does
we
all the
go.
work.
Hmm.
Um, but for Stan, he works, he creates a good product, and he's not in this to get rich. But there are a lot of companies, and I mean a lot of companies, who are buying third and fourth houses, who are buying Lamborghinis, who have
Mm-hmm.
almost on their own big tobacco money, right? And they could give a shit less about anything. And I think this is a good transition here, because these companies are the ones screaming that, oh my god, we only have 10 months left to do the PMTA, but what what I don't have the money to pay for this. Well, you did, but that Maserati that you had to have custom made took precedence over it, didn't it?
Mm-hmm.
So
Damn, that was buttery smooth, like Shane says. It was a
Yeah.
buttery smooth transition.
Yeah.
Yeah, the PMTAs, man. That's something where everyone's like, oh well, yeah, oh well, we're might as well buy all your juice. If there's a juice you love, you might as well go buy it. And yeah, I'm thinking that too. I'm like, yeah, if there's a juice I love, I'm gonna go buy the hell out of it, because
Mm-hmm.
we don't know what's gonna happen. We don't know if they're still gonna be around. But it's something that, if you're a company that's in the been keeping up with advocacy and keeping up with all these new laws and everything, this is something you should have known about. And the thing with, we got to talk to the one of the owners of a liquid company. I'm not going to name it, but we got to talk to them in Houston. And he didn't have a booth. He was just out there just to have fun. And he was talking about it, and he was saying that some of the times that and some of the studies that they wanted were like unreasonable. Like they started talking about this, and they wanted a 5-year study whenever they didn't even give them 5 years notice for it. And that's something I understand. Yeah, that's BS. You shouldn't do something like that. You should say, hey, I want a 2-year study, and I'm giving you 2 years and 2 months to do it. So you have 2 months to set it, or you have a month to set it up. You have 2 years to get it ready, and you have a month to submit it. I can understand something like that. And the thing is whenever you're doing something and you're saying, hey, well, um, we're giving you 10 months, but they've known about it for 2 years, that's something where it's kind of like, well, instead of blowing that money, like you said, on a brand new Maserati, or going and renting a Lamborghini and spending a buttload of money for a week or a weekend to take it to a vape show to show how rich you are, it's maybe you should have used that money for something else. Maybe you should have started your studies. Or even if you're someone who didn't hear about it until 2 years into it, and you know you need a 5-year study, say, hey, I'm kind of new to this, but hey, I have a 2-year study for it. I know you want a 5-year study. It was kind of outrageous. I can't give you a 5-year study when we have only been around for 2 years. So here's my 2-year study. That's something I think is something people could do. But whenever you're just like, oh, it's a 2-year study, and there's no way I can do that, and you just kind of go blow your money. That's kind of the people I don't want to buy from. And I talked to y'all about it right before the show. Is that's one thing I'm really looking at, is I'm not buying from places no more, and I really don't want to buy like a mod from a place that doesn't give a crap about advocacy and the actual real meaning behind vaping. Kind of like on that viral, or that video that's going viral from Barstool and Matthew
Mm-hmm.
over there, the Reaper Matthew. That's something that I love that he spoke for. He said, no, this is not for blowing clouds. No, this is not for getting cool or having drip and swag and all this other stuff. No, it's for health. Yeah, you might be able to buy a sick ass mod, and that's like a limited edition, or a really cool color that changes colors, or like a DHD drip tip that changes colors or matches everything. But it's something to personalize to you, but it's also something that is safer for you and healthier for you. And to me, the people who don't give a crap about advocacy, and if I get an email from a company 2 times a day, and it's, hey, well, buy this product, buy this product. Oh, we're giving you a discount code. Oh, we're giving you this. But you can't put a little, I don't know, 2x2 box in there saying, hey, this new law is going into effect. We need y'all to fight it. Kind of like what a couple companies have started doing. If I don't see that, honestly, I don't pay any attention to it anymore. I actually got an email from Vapor Dojo the other day, and it was not an email for anything about their product. It was a whole page letter about advocacy and what was going on with the PMTAs and everything. And I thought that was awesome. And then you see people like Vape on Instagram going out there and saying, hey, fight this law. Hey, fight this bill. Hey, vote no, vote yes. And it's something that they could hire someone to do social media, or you could just give it to someone in your company. Say, hey, we want you every time there's a new law come out or a new House bill or a new Senate bill coming out, we want you to make one post about it. All you got to do is take a screenshot of it, post it up on Instagram, say vote no. That's all you have to do, because you have a huge platform and that's going to get a lot more people's attention. That's something super simple and easy. Look at Stan. He's a one-man, one-woman operation. Look at Eric Vinyl and Vapor, a one-man operation. Look at Turk, a 1 to 2 person operation. Look at all those people. I'm just naming people that I know that I support that have badass products that are honestly probably better than most of these products that are multi-million-dollar companies. You look at those companies and those people, and they're 1 to 2 people operations, but yet they make time for advocacy. They make time to make a post on Instagram, social media, Facebook, Twitter, yada, yada. And they still get their product out on a quick time. That's people that I want to support. And that's people that I think everyone should support, because it's people who are actually giving a crap about the real meaning behind vaping. Not, hey, I made a new RDA that could blow huge clouds. No, it's, hey, I made a new RDA that could blow huge clouds, but look at how much safer this is for you. And yeah, it's personalized to people who like those products, but it's I'm still gonna tell you why you should buy this product, not because it's a new rendition of my old one. No, it's because it's still 95.5% safer for you. And it's still way healthier alternative, and it's 2 times more effective as an alternative to combustibles. And honestly, that's just a little rant for me that I want to throw in there, is that honestly, I think a lot more people should support those. And the thing is there's a lot of good liquids out there that I like that people don't, or those groups don't support. Like this one right here, Dripwicks. This guy really supports advocacy. And I met him at Houston. His wife is actually an attorney for another company, or she's one of the lawyers for another company. And he said that single-handedly, him and his wife, or I guess I wouldn't be single-handed because it'd be 2 people, it'd be 4 hands. But they went to all these different states to go fight these bills. And yeah, it's only 2 people, but 2 people can turn into a lot more people. If 2 people put on Instagram, hey, we're going to these, we're going here to meet at these places, or they start one of those little things where it's an invite, hey, who wants to go? Those 2 people who have a decent platform can make it to where it could be 2 people to 2,000 to 200,000. And like everyone always says, if you get 100,000 people to say the same thing at once and start barking at all these people, someone's gonna have to eventually listen. If I have 2 people in front of my house, I'm gonna know it. If there's 2 people in front of a governor's office or anything, he might not care. But if you get 200 or 2,000 people over there, oh yeah, there's definitely going to be something going on. And that's the whole thing, is we need to support the people who actually support this for what it really is. Because we do the hand checks, we do the cloud checks, we show off our mods, we do the buffets and everything like that. But the thing is there's every now and then where I like to throw in something like, hey, this isn't just a cool mod, like I did the other day. Hey, this is something that's 95% healthier for you. Or, hey, this is something that I use flavors on, and flavors have honestly helped me with what I wanted to achieve, a healthier lifestyle. And I mean, it's something that we all should really think about doing. I'm not saying go out there and just stop buying a liquid because they don't support it, but it's something that you should kind of look into as me.
Yeah, I'm fully agree with that.
I don't have anything there that I could even try to nitpick.
Yeah, I mean, use everything that you can use to support your advocates, to support your activists. Even if it's, I've said this 100 times, there's a role out there for everybody in this fight. Something I heard the other day that I want to share with you guys. I actually heard this from a pastor, and I mentioned this to Jay last night, and it's something that really applies to us right now. The quote is, "If you have a setback, don't take a step back, but prepare for a comeback." And that's kind of where we are. We've had all this stuff kind of piled on us, as vapors. I know a lot of it is the companies, and they've got to do their part so we can keep doing this. And yes, there's going to be companies that go away. Yes, there's going to be more companies that will be built after the fact. But it is a setback. But that doesn't mean we need to just, you know, lean back and say, well, there's nothing else I can do now. Uh, you know, there's so much more out there that we can do. And it's just, let your voices be heard and just prepare for that comeback is the biggest thing I can tell you right now. Don't ever give up. It's getting through all 12 rounds.
Yep. And remember, you vape, you vote if you are a registered voter. And like everyone always says, use your money to your advantage. If there's someone out there who doesn't do it, like I just said, they don't care about advocacy. They just in it for the money. They don't care about if it's an actual healthier alternative, or they're just throwing junk inside their juice just to make it taste better. It's your money. Don't support them. Support the people who actually do make good products and actually care about the industry. And honestly, there's some companies out there that I honestly don't really like, but I will buy their products just because they do support advocacy.
Mm-hmm.
And I mean, that's just me. I mean, and honestly, like I said, I'm a cheap person, but I will spend my money to support them because they support the actual meaning of something. It's kind of like whenever you talk to your kids about Christmas, and this is just off topic again, but it kind of ties in. What's Even my daughter knows this. What's the real meaning to Christmas? Well, if you're religious, it's the religion side. And if you're not really too religious, it's the whole my daughter will even say it. It's bringing the whole family together and having everyone around. And then at the end she'll say, "And I get good ass presents." But the thing is, it's the whole part of having everyone around. And it's the whole thing with vaping too, is making sure we're actually doing the right thing, making sure we're actually supporting the right people, because there's a lot of companies out there that don't really give a crap about it. And like Nick said, there's people out there who go buy or go rent a Lamborghini and won't even care about, okay, well, I could use this money to save my ass and actually keep making money, or I can use this money to go buy a badass car and get chicks and look good at a show and sell more product. Well, then whenever these PMTAs come around, they say, "Oh crap, I only got 2 more months to do it because I procrastinated. I spent all my money. I don't have money for this no more." Well,
Mm-hmm.
that's on you.
That is exactly what I want to touch on. Two separate parts here. The first part is, if you are a vaping manufacturer, whether it's a hardware or e-liquid and anything in between, and you buy yourself an expensive car and you get to go home with a really hot chick at the convention or at the bar or whatever, just understand that that's the same chick who has left with every other person with a nice car.
Yep.
And I'm gonna be honest, there I could probably count using my both hands and feet of friends that have nice cars. So you're not special, homeboy. But leading to the important part here is, we have known about the PMTA process since May 10th, 2016. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
So we have had 3 years to get everything going.
Yep.
We had everything extended out for another 2 years, which would have allowed you to have a 5-year health study. However, because the FDA was kind of just, fucking around, not really enforcing anything, the anti groups were able to come in and say, hey, you are not doing your job, and they weren't. You need to do something now. And Judge Grimm said, okay, you got 10 months, get it done. Well, now you've got all these companies who decided to blow money, or even the companies that have began to file the PMTA process. who may not be able to meet the deadline. I believe, and Angela can correct me on this, and this is something that I just learned yesterday night. I believe Mitch Zeller is giving people an additional year that are in the middle of the process to allow them to complete it. But that I'm not 100% sure of. The one thing that I think is important to touch on, though, and it's not the hot chick at the convention, is the fact that the only PMTA that has been approved, and this is after almost 3 years of being denied and having to make changes, is the IQOS, and that is from PMI, Philip Morris International. Um, they have been working on this since, or they have been applying for the PMTA since 2017. It is a 122-page document, and they just now were approved for sale within the U.S. and finalizing the PMTA. So we've known and we've had time, and most companies have had the money, and we've had extension after extension, and people continued to mess around until Judge Grimm said, "You have 10 months, get it done."
Mm-hmm.
We why we are very entitled as an industry, and I think that's the biggest slap in the face to all this, is that we had the time, and if we would have been able to prove that most, if not all, the companies were actually on board and had began the process of the health claims, um, and actually had done what we were supposed to do instead of fucking off, then we wouldn't be as worried. We'd be like, okay, well, I mean, my stuff should be finalized in 3 months or 6 months, or I'll file an appeal because I'm almost done with it and I started as soon as we found out. And that's sensible. That makes sense to ask for a 6 month extension, which Zeller and I was just confirmed. Zeller granted an additional year for this process. So um, and I explained to Angela the other night, and it's the mowing of the lawn thing. The city where I live, my grass can be up to 2 feet tall before the city can come in and write me a ticket, right? But that makes it so much more difficult to try to mow at 2 feet tall as opposed to half an inch.
Yeah.
So when we had a half an inch problem, we didn't take care of it.
Mm-hmm.
We were like, man, fuck the FDA. We're not going to do what you have to say. Well, guess what, man? That's not how this works, and especially not in a capitalist market. And I'm not even bashing on capitalism because it works for the most part. And again, I'm down with sensible capitalism.
Mm-hmm.
But what we have to realize is that we have known that this was going on. We've had time to get it going, and nobody, and I mean no one, has begun the process to actually do things the right way. The reality of it is we shouldn't have been creating products post 8/8, and that hasn't bit us on the ass yet.
Mm-hmm.
That's just a matter of time before they figure out a way to be able to regulate how many products actually have come out since 8/8. We have people that try to self-regulate that kind of shit, and it's just not effective because people just don't care. um, I'm not saying I think products shouldn't have come out post 8/8, but the fact is, we rules are put in place for a reason. The speed limit on the highway is set at that speed for a reason.
Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm.
School zones are placed there for a reason. If we were told not to do something and we did it anyway, it's going to come back and bite us on the ass. And it may not be today, tomorrow, or even in the next 9 months, but that 10th month and nobody has done the PMTA, I'm guaranteeing it's not just going to be okay, well, now these products are not available, but we're, going to start finding these people. And I don't want to see that happen because I have friends that have made products post 8/8. Um, and I don't even want to argue that, well, China will keep making products. Sure, they will, and we can have them imported in until until those get blocked. I
Mm-hmm.
mean, I get products sent to me from people internationally, and they'll say, "Oh, it's car stereo parts, or it's this, or it's that." And so it comes through customs unaffected because they're just not paying attention. But as soon as the government catches wind of that's what we're doing,
Mm-hmm.
then they're going to start dismantling every package. The fact of the matter is, we, as any good American group of people, or anybody across the board, any good retail establishment, any manufacturer needs to have a product standard that is across the board, and we need to have sensible regulation. Um, the the one thing that I keep going back to, and it just makes sense for me, is how guns are regulated. I can go to a gun store, I can buy a gun online, and it will be sent to the closest gun store for me to pick up so that they can verify my ID twice. And it just makes sense. Like, rules are okay. Like, we need to stop trying to be so anti everything that opposes vaping, and understand that it's a give and take kind of thing. There's not one industry on this planet that has not been affected by some sort of rule, regulation, or another group from outside of itself saying, "Hey, this is cool, but I want to make this change."
Like you even said about Philip Morris, look at what he did. Even okay, I'm just saying this, even if he's in it just for the money, he knows, hey, I can make a lot of money off of this. What is the first thing he did? Okay, they need this. Let me go ahead and get this out of the way so that way later on down the road I don't have to deal with it. And the cutting the grass uh uh
Analogy.
terminology, I guess. I don't know what you'd really call it, but whatever it is, that is a really good way to think of it. And another way I thought of it is, okay, well, someone wants a monarch, but they don't know which one they want. And they're thinking about it, man, I really want one, but they're really expensive. And the one that comes out, like kind of like what I did, the one that comes out that I really want, ah, crap, I don't have the money for it. You know there's going to be badass ones coming out. You know there's going to be cool things coming out. Save up your money once you know that you might find one you want, and
Mm-hmm.
then once that one comes out, you can buy it. It's the exact same thing. It's like the cutting the grass. Whenever you hear about something, whenever you know that you should do it, do it. Don't wait till it's, oh crap, now I got to take 2 times more effort, or more than that, way more effort, and I got to throw in way more time for it, and I got to try to get it done quicker. That's whenever we have problems. And whenever everyone starts procrastinating stuff like this, that's whenever stuff starts getting real bad. And then you look at the people who we always bash on, the people like IQOS, Juul, and all of them. We always try to bash on them, but then you look at them and you're like, well, you're the smart ones. You're the ones who are already trying to go through it once you hear about it. You're not the
Mm-hmm.
ones who are procrastinating. You're the ones who are, okay, yeah, we need to do this to be able to stay alive. Let's go ahead and do it instead of using our money for stupid stuff. And this is one thing that Stan and Nick and me and Swaggins, everyone, and even Thick Nick, everyone who's at the house in Houston, we were talking about stuff like this. You see the people who pull up in the nice car, but then do you think they'll be around next year? Nope. But then the people who we know who pull up in a little Toyota Corolla, like we say, or anything like that, and they're still around in a couple of years, and then they have enough money to, okay, let me go buy that Lamborghini now instead of whenever I just start making money.
Right.
It's you're muted, Nick, or your mic's off. There you go.
There we go. It all comes down to that is that's the perfect analogy. The time for Lamborghinis and nice houses with heated bathroom floors, that will come. I promise you.
Mm-hmm.
Vaping has made entirely too much money in order for people not to have a lavish lifestyle, but that has to come later. Right now, we have to make sure that we are making sure that we are doing everything we can to to squash this youth vaping epidemic. We have to make sure that we are fighting for sensible regulation. We have to make sure that we are having to make sure that we're taking care of our business first, so then we can have fun times later. What's the point in being the richest motherfucker in the industry and having the biggest, nicest car and the biggest, nicest house if none of your friends are able to be there with you because they had to file bankruptcy or had to fucking leave the country because they can't afford to survive anymore? That's what this comes down to, is taking care of your business first. And that includes the advocacy, that includes the PMTA, that includes all the shit that nobody wants to do. I like to take care of shit before it has to be taken care of. I like mowing the yard. I can take my time with it because the grass isn't that tall. And I can be able to sit and do every little portion that I want exactly how I like. So if I want to do a Greek key pattern, I can do that. And then when everybody else is scrambling to get everything else done, I'm the one sitting back and going, well, man, if you just would have done everything the right way, not trying to call the kettle black or anything, but you know, it's there's too much that vaping has done to help people to have this industry go away. But there are too many people in this industry that have done things the wrong way that is affecting us as as an entirety.
Yep.
And
Too many greedy
that's
people.
right. I mean, and even um, so Logan Exhale says there has to be a level of acceptance, though. You can't possibly have an adult only product that no kids will get a hold of. That's impossible. The I agreed to that with an extent. The issue is that even with tobacco products, liquor, anything like that, you don't have the ability to monitor who buys what and where it goes, and possibly understanding why that this is happening. That's why I'm all for Juul developing this technology to be able to say, hey, when you purchase this product, we know who it goes to, we know where it's going to. And so if, little Jimmy gets caught with a Juul at high school, and Jimmy's older brother is 22 and he just bought a Juul, well, guess what? Now we know what happened there and we can squash it. This is the issue is not that this is just kids that picked up a vape, took a puff, and was like, man, fuck this. This doesn't taste like Dr. Pepper or whatever, and have never fucked with it again. These are kids who are actively using these products, and we need to figure out why. We need to figure out how to be able to eliminate 95,000 to a handful, a margin of error, a 5% portion, if you will. That makes sense. And see, and again, taxes too high create a black market, and they fail to create funding that those taxes are meant to create anyway. So here's the deal with the whole black market thing, and I'm not trying to be doom or gloom, but if people think for a second that they're not that the government is not going to eliminate the mainstream vaping industry first and then just leave it at that, and think that you will have access to be able to purchase nicotine, PG, VG, or flavorings as an individual or even as a business, they are smart enough to know that people buy these things to create e-liquid. The DIY market is going to be just as fucked as everybody else. I mean, they're not just. I mean, it's like, yeah. I mean, and again, I'm not trying to be doom and gloom because there's too much. There's too much that we can do, and there's too much that we should have been doing to be able to save this industry. And that's, I mean, I very much have taken a back seat to just sitting back and watching everybody doing everything. I haven't put out a video. In fact, I've unlisted all my videos. I've my shut down my Patreon. I don't do anything anymore. I'm just watching to understand what is going on and monitoring the industry. And I by no way, shape, or form think I'm an expert or a fucking genius. I just have a very good comprehension of how the government works because of my time in the I don't even know how the fuck to phrase it. So in natural foods and medicine, it has been so heavily overregulated for so many years, and now in just the last 5 to 10, it has been lifted. Like, you can't drink raw milk. only can get milk that is processed
Mm-hmm.
through dairy companies. Well, through that process, lots of good things happen, like most of the pus and blood is removed, but not all of it. But they also pump a shitload of sugar into it. They pump load a shitload of antibiotics into it. And the fact of the matter is, we don't need these things. We don't have an industry standard. We have what the Dairy Council says they need, and then they pay the government because they share board of director members. And then they say, okay, well, you guys can make this. So then when you see companies come out that have raw-ish milk or anything like that, you get a heavy rebuttal against that, saying, well, you need to buy, you know, just 100% dairy milk. You know, it's this is a conversation for when we're not live, because there's a lot of shit that people need to know and need to be aware of that is going on behind the scenes.
Mm-hmm.
That, and it's not like a big secret thing because this information is public. It's just about connecting the dots. um, and that's where this all comes down to, is the government is not always doing things on the up and up. And to be honest, the vape industry has not always been doing things on the up and up. I know a handful of companies that were perfectly fine selling products to kids that had no business purchasing them at all. And we have seen people dying from misuse of products. We have seen people being injured. We have seen people that are underage using this product, regardless if nicotine affects them or not. The fact is, you are not supposed to have them.
Mm-hmm.
And there are companies that were not upholding that position as they should have been. And that has contributed to 95,000 kids using vapor products. And that's fucked up.
Yeah.
Okay.
And the thing with the Juul part is everyone talking about how they're gonna make the new system where you have to scan your ID and, oh, I don't want my government to find out my information. You don't think they already have your information?
Yeah.
Man, that is
Yeah.
the funniest thing ever. The government doesn't need to know. Dude, you literally fill out a piece of paper to get a driver's license. They know where
Mm-hmm.
you live. They know your driver's license number because they're the one that issued it to
Yeah.
you. They
Same
know
with your
what your
social
social.
security number.
And when you drive through a tollway, where do they send that to, and how do they know that information? Oh yeah, you bought a car. Oh yeah, the government knows everything. It's, why are you so worried about that? Are you doing stuff wrong? And that's the whole thing. I mean, yeah, I'm not a Juul buyer, but this is something that'd be great for more things in this industry. And it's just like, well, why do you care so much? Oh, the government doesn't need that. Well, they already know all
They
that.
created it
Like,
for us.
what's
Yeah.
the point? Yeah.
It's because people feel that the government and Big Brother is watching. So I'm sure everybody watching and everybody here on the panel has a smartphone, right? So most of us use a fingerprint to unlock it, or use our eyes to unlock it. So
Mm-hmm.
biometrics, okay? In addition to using like Siri or Google or Alexa, all these automated,
Knows your voice.
yeah, it only listens when you use the code, blah blah blah. No, that's not it. That means it's always listening to you.
Mm-hmm.
It's waiting to hear, hey, G company, you know, where's the local Chick-fil-A or whatever it may be. Then you get ads on Facebook or Instagram or anything that are geared towards you for marketing
Mm-hmm.
reasons.
Mm-hmm.
That's fine. I don't care. You show me something that I actually want to buy versus some stupid mobile game that I have no interest in whatsoever, then show me an ad, because odds are I'll probably buy it. And it's not because I'm susceptible to marketing, it's just because you are showing something to me that's useful. People just need to like relax and understand that your information in this day and age is not private. The government knows who you are, what you're doing, and probably what you smell like. I mean, we post everything on on social media. I mean, we go online and we purchase things. We type in our address and our card number. I mean, I just got a letter in the mail that a place where I had blood work done just had a data breach, and my blood type, my social, my insurance number, and my full address all were taken in this data breach. I'm like, thanks, Russia. Like that's a little scary because it's not the government getting the information that they already know because you have a birth certificate, but it's a stranger doing it. Jewel is taking this information, which the government already has, and making sure that you are doing what you're supposed to be doing with this product.
Mm-hmm.
In addition to, marketing makes sense. If you go in and you buy 100 different bottles of liquid that are peach flavor, then the company can go, "Hey, Mister John Smith, have you tried Peaches Are Fucking Great from Peaches?" I I mean, it makes sense. And Angela's right. Our Google Home will just randomly interact with us, and I'm like, okay. I have all my light bulbs. All my light bulbs are connected via Wi-Fi, and they're LED, so they don't get hot. And they last 15 years. Those are all connected to my Google Home. So the people at Google know when I turn all the lights off at my house. That's okay, because if Google decided that they were going to try to break in, they're going to be met with a 500-pound naked man with a hammer. That and they know that because my phone's sitting here, and they're like, "Oh God, I don't want that." So it's people. There are certain aspects of the government that should be absolutely terrifying, and then there are certain things that we need to do as a part of sensible regulation that we just need to do. When you purchase certain products, even fucking spray paint, you hand a person your ID. When you
Mm-hmm.
go to a restaurant and pay, they take your card off and bring it back to you. What's to stop them from writing down your card number?
Mm-hmm.
What's to stop them from saying, "Oh, sir, do you mind if I check your ID real fast?" And then writing down your information from there. That being,
Yeah.
if people want to do something with malicious intent, they're going to do it regardless. But it's our job as an industry and the leaders of this industry to say, "Hey, fucking stop, listen,
Mm-hmm.
get some help, do shit the right way." Like, I mean, I told Angela, I'm like, dude, if I have to scan my ID to make sure that I'm 21 just to enter a vape shop, I would. And
Mm-hmm.
I'm fine with that. I'm cool with people asking for my ID. I've never gotten huffy once, not buying tobacco, vape, alcohol, getting into an adults only establishment. I don't care, because that means that you care enough that you want to be able to provide the best experience possible. And that's what it should come down to. All this product standards, sensible regulation comes down to making sure that people are going to have the best experience possible.
Mm-hmm.
Hmm. And well, here's
Yeah.
here's an opinion from me about the 95,000 children. Where are the parents of these children? Because if they have a vaping device and they're using this vaping device and they went out and bought this vaping device, yes, that falls on the company, whoever the shop they bought it from, or whoever old enough that gave it to them. That falls on them, right? That's the reason they have it. Okay. Why are they being able to keep it? Because the parents aren't involved enough in their life to know that they're doing it. So people need to step up as being parents. You willingly laid down and made this child, so now take care of what you're supposed to.
Right.
You have
And
to
that is
be, yeah, they have to be involved enough to know what's going on.
Yep.
that again, that is another buttery smooth transition, man, because ISD right here in the great state of Texas has decided to do just that. They are trying, or they are I don't want to say they're trying to pass. They are working to nicotine test students in the school district,
Oh yeah.
and then punish a equivalency. Um, the the issue is that parents are parent you as a parent are allowed to decide what your children can do at home. The second they leave that house, you no longer have jurisdiction over that. You are susceptible to the rest of the world, whether that is by opinions or by law. The fact of the matter is, there's not a there's no reason that a 16-year-old needs to vape, man. I mean, there
No,
just isn't.
Nope.
they're
But
trying to be cool, and they're trying to be. We were all three of us were 16 between, I'd say, between 15 and 18 at one point in time in our life. We were there. We know that we're going to try to fit in. We're going to try to be cool, just like everybody else. But it's hard to explain. People they've got to be more involved, and I understand what Texas is trying to do. What you do in your home is your business. Okay,
Hmm.
this this is affecting everybody in the vaping community by these kids having this, and this is what keeps giving all these antis the ammunition that they want and that they need to keep moving forward on what they're doing. So we as adults and parents have got to step up and take this shit away from our kids, because we know they're not supposed to have it, regardless if you're, a not caring parent, if you're an absent parent. I've said before, I had a helicopter parent, so I understand. My dad was always there. Every time I turned around, he was there. So people have just got to be more involved, and they have to be, I don't want to say be a helicopter parent, but you have to be on the verge at that point to be not necessarily controlling what your kids do, but taking care to know that if your kid is between 15 and 18, they don't need to be doing stuff that's for people that are 18 and older.
right,
You know, my one of my children, he was 17 at the time. He was dating a girl that was a freshman in college, and she wanted him to go to the football game with her that night. And it was a 7 o'clock game. The school is about 2.5 hours away from here. He was a senior in high school, and I was like, "No, you're not going." And he said, "Well, okay, I'm just gonna go spend the night with, I don't remember, one of his other buddies." So I'm sitting there about an hour later, and I was like, I pick up my phone and I start scrolling through, and I get to Verizon, and I look where his phone is. Lo and behold, he is at the stadium at the college. So I start calling and saying, "Hey, get your ass home now." So
Hmm.
luckily he had a little over a 2 hour drive, so I was able to calm down before he got here. So, but we did have a nice conversation, But and I understand kids are stupid. They don't think things through at that age, especially when a girl's involved. You know.
And I'm pretty sure you knew exactly what he was gonna do.
Oh
You were just
yeah,
like, yeah, let me test you. Let's see where you're actually gonna
yeah,
go.
yeah. I gave him. We gave him a little bit of time. Just to make sure. Hey, he should be almost home by now. Let's pull it up and check. You know.
Let's see how stupid he thinks we are.
man.
Yeah, exactly.
That's yeah. See, I never had parents that were. I pretty much never had parents. Nobody ever watched or regulated what I did. So I was like, okay, well, if I have all this freedom to go where I want, do what I want, then I want to make sure that I'm not going to fuck this up, so that I don't give them a reason to, like, keep me from being able to do whatever. So if I was going
Right.
to go stay at a friend's house, hey man, I'm going to go over to this person's house and stay the night. Okay. Are you going to be drinking? Probably. But,
Yeah.
at the time, I mean, you know, that was just what I did all the time. If when